Hey guys, welcome back. As of today, I've been making YouTube videos for 5 years. Hard to believe it, but it has been an incredible journey, and I just have to say thank you so much for making this dream a possibility for me. To celebrate, I asked you guys if you had any questions for me. We're gonna do a bit of an AMA today. And before we do, I just have to say thank you again. I really can't overstate how incredible the last 5 years have been for me. And it's really only possible because you guys enjoy and watch the videos. So seriously, thank you guys so much for making this a reality for me. The past 5 years have definitely been the best of my life so far. I'm about to turn 30 in a couple months, so I'm starting to think about these things a little bit more. And I really just have to say again, thank you guys so much for enjoying the content. I absolutely love that I get to do this as my job and it pays my bills. That is wild to me that I can sit in my room, talk into a microphone, and that enables me to actually live my life. It's an absolute blessing. Thank you guys so much. I asked you guys in a YouTube poll as well as in Discord if you had any questions for me. So I'm going to be pulling from there. I might not be able to get to everyone's questions, but thank you very much for submitting. If you have more questions, leave them down below. I may comment and reply to those as well if it's not covered here and you're a little bit curious about me, the content, or what I've been doing. And if you're wondering why Shikishima today, well, that one's pretty easy. The very first video I put out 5 years ago was on the Shikishima, so we gotta bring it back. As much as Six Guns Control, this ship absolutely dumpsters when it hits. That's the key, it has to hit. I did get quite a few similar questions, so I'll try and group them together and answer them. To start off, what's my favorite ship? What's the ship, if I could only pick one, what would I play? Well, it would be Massachusetts. I still love Tier 8. It is my favorite tier by far. We have the complexity of higher tier. We bring in things like radars. We get the 5th upgrade slot for things like concealment. I find it has the full World of Warships package when it comes to surface ships gameplay. But it's not so passive. We haven't gone so extreme on the damage at longer ranges that we tend to have battles within 15 kilometers, 10 kilometers. It's pretty common at Tier 8. At least when you're fighting your own tier. So my favorite ship at that tier being Massachusetts, I think that makes a lot of sense. Although in the double up tier, I really don't like playing Massachusetts. So it's very specifically Tier 8 only games, it would be a Massachusetts for sure. Now what about GK or Schlieffen? A very important question. It's gotta be Schlieffen, right? GK is not in the happiest of places right now. If I'm playing a GK, I always feel like I should probably be playing something else. If I want to run a tank build, I should probably just play a Montana. If I want to brawl it out with secondaries, even Preußen is better because of the turret angles and the DPM on those guns, the reload. But also Schlieffen exists, also Libertad exists. There's just so many better options to do anything GK even remotely excels at, unfortunately, for the old GK. I still like it, it's just not in the best spot these days. Ooh, and here's a good one. How many hours in the game? Well, since I started playing 10 years ago, pretty much now, it's been on the Wargaming client, and I don't have the Steam account to tell me how many hours I've actually played. I'm around 20,000 battles, at least on my main account. I've been playing a lot on the press accounts that CCs get as well, to play different ships that I may not have, or to play on different servers, that kind of thing too. But if I take 20,000 battles, do some quick math, around 12.5 minutes per battle, let's say, just as an average perhaps, I get a little over 4,100 hours. That seems a little low though, especially because that doesn't count all the hours I put in training battles back in the day when I played Supremacy League, as well as all those games and practices that I did for Kings of the Sea. So if I had to guess, probably 5,000-6,000 hours, somewhere in there. Quite a bit, but also not as much considering it's been 10 years of me playing this game. And now what would I tell people who enjoy the game, just started playing, but feel like there's too much pay-to-win content? Well, I would have to agree. At least though, very, very recently, as of recording this, Wargaming's released a couple dev blogs about update 14.7 and 14.8. Go look at those, especially the 14.8 one, if you want to get excited about World of Warships, even as a free-to-play player. They have so much content coming that is going to be available completely for free for you to grind. I'm so excited. They started off this year so poorly. The first half of this year was terrible for monetization. Perhaps it's taken a while for them to listen, but this seems to be moves in the right direction. I am very, very excited for what the later half of this year has in store for us. What about being to Europe? Have I been to Europe? Yes, I've actually been to Istanbul. I've been to Zurich on a layover, but explored a little bit. It was a bit of a longer layover. I've been a little bit into Italy, went to Rome, saw the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Also managed to make a stop off at, I forget the city, wherever Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Pagani have their manufacturing. Couldn't get in to see many of those, but I actually got a tour and got to see the back area of the Pagani manufacturing, where they do all the crazy carbon fiber stuff. It's a while ago now. I'm not sure if that even exists anymore to go see, but I managed to see it. It was so cool, man. Absolutely loved that trip. Also went to Paris towards the end of that one too. So seen a little bit of Europe. Absolutely beautiful everywhere. Coming from North America, it's like everywhere I look is just incredibly beautiful. There's some old amazing castle or scenery that is older than basically anything that's near me here at home. Beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely love Europe. And what about my favorite food? It's gotta be a homemade bun with a homemade hamburger barbecued. Nothing beats mom's cooking. What is even the point of playing 6-gun ships anymore? Are they completely outdated? Well, I think there's an amazing point to playing 6-gun ships. It's to entertain you guys, right? It's supposed to tilt me and entertain you. I'm not cut out to be playing them unless you guys force me to, but some people enjoy them, and I think that is worth having in the game. Ooh, now this is a hard one. What era or when was World of Warships at its peak? What was my favorite time to play? I gotta say, the update before Conqueror was released, I think. I have fond memories of playing back then, when battleships, cruisers, destroyers all had very well, clearly defined roles, and we didn't have as much mixing and blurring of the lines between those classes. Carriers were busted with RTS carriers back then, but you only saw them 1 in 20 games, and almost no one was good enough to actually make them that busted at their peak. And if you ran into them, it was probably a 1 in 200 games that you would see it. So you were pretty free from dealing with carriers for the most part, and the rock, paper, scissors, a bit of a soft rock, paper, scissors, as it wasn't clearly you win just because you're in one ship or something like that, was more of a thing back then. I really enjoyed the gameplay back then. Is that just rose-tinted glasses, though? I guess we'll get to see. This new devlog on update 14.8 is so exciting, man. They're releasing a Blast from the Past game mode where you'll get to play surface ships only, no subs, no carriers, and play just the ships that were available in specific years, like 2015, 2017, things like that. I cannot wait to play it and see if I'm right in enjoying that or realizing just how wrong I was. Hopefully Wargaming undoes some of the buffs that they've given certain ships since then. I want to see the old Montana Citadel that was way above water, super easy to hit. I want to see all the cruisers have their old armor plating values. If you didn't know, only Zhao was able to auto-bounce 406s back in the day. There's a lot of overmatch now, but it was even worse back then compared to 457s now. 406s overmatch way more of the ships that they fought than even 457s do these days. I want to see what that was like. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I had a lot of fun back then. Now, what about why am I called PQ, or potato quality? The name came from having abysmal internet 10, 15 years ago. I was still running on 5 megabit down and 0.7 on a good day megabit upload speeds. That was the original thing. So trying to play online games like that, little challenging. Every once in a while, yeah, your mic does not sound particularly great. So that's where it comes from. I had a potato quality connection. And while maybe I would change that name these days, I think we all have a little bit of that, but that's the name that stuck. And I've done a lot of incredible things under that name online. So, you know what? I think I'm good with it. Why did I start playing World of Warships? What got me into this game? Well, I was playing War Thunder, introduced by a college friend to War Thunder. I'd always played console, and then I got a decent enough laptop to go to school with, college with, and played some War Thunder there. And there's a content creator by the name of Fly Daily. I am sure you've heard of him. And when he switched over to playing World of Warships in its closed beta, That's when I got really serious about trying to get in. Wasn't willing to pay the like $15 to get into closed beta in buying Sims or something like that. Pure free to play back then. I waited until it was open beta and then I started playing. That's how I got into it. And as for what's made me stay, well, I just really enjoy this game. This gameplay is really, really fun to me. What sets it apart is that it's a PvP game that is not about fast, twitchy reaction times. And I think that's really interesting. There's a lot of depth there involved. You're massively rewarded or punished based on decision making you made 5, 10, 15 minutes ago. I think that is so cool. And while there are other PvP games that do it, it's a little bit less casual, I guess we could say. There's some pretty insane complexity to things like MOBAs, but this game is casual enough, simple enough that I can just pick it up and enjoy, relaxing with it, while also having enough depth that I can think about my decision making and be rewarded for it, or otherwise punished for it and learn to do better next time. Am I interested in ships and boats in general, or is WoW's the only thing related to ships in my life? It really just is World of Warships. I've never been interested in naval history, anything like that, before playing World of Warships. And I've learned a little bit in passing while playing, but for me, this game is a lot about its gameplay and less about the naval history. As I've played, though, I do think it's really cool to learn about some of these things, especially as new ships come into the game, hear more about their history and some of the battles they fought in. I think that's really cool. Just definitely not the reason that I started playing or why I'm continuing to play this game. I'm glad it is a portion of this game, though, as it is really, really cool. Now, I got an absolute ton of questions about game balance, game design. If I was in control, what would I do? And there's so many things I could say, but first, it's so easy to be a critic, guys. It is so easy for me to sit here and say Wargaming is doing everything wrong. It's another thing to actually try and figure out solutions. I do think there's some decent ideas that I have. Like, a big one is, how would I fix blowouts? I think a big part of that is not putting the highest tier ships on one side against the enemy team with its lowest tier ships. Have you noticed that recently? You're in a tier 9 ship and there's only tier 9s on your flank, and oh, guess who spawned on the other side? It's all the enemy team's super ships, right? I think that's a very easy way that we can make the game a little bit more enjoyable. The other thing would be, why are all the radar cruisers on one team and just the DPM cruisers are on another team? I don't think it'd be terribly difficult. I mean, maybe this is overstepping already, but I don't think it'd be that hard to add a little flag in that says if there's 2 radar cruisers, like a Worcester and Des Moines, and then there's a Hindenburg and a Henry, maybe we should split them up evenly rather than putting 2 radars on one side and 2 farming ships on another. Things like that, I think, could massively improve the overall gameplay and maybe lead to less blowouts. Of course, another thing is carriers and subs. I'm sure you're expecting this. If I had control, yeah, I would definitely remove them. They just don't fit, man. The gameplay, it's too overpowered, or you nerf them to be balanced, and then there's just nothing for them to do. It just doesn't fit the game fundamentally, and I think that's the problem Wargaming's running into. So the biggest thing to impact this game's trajectory has got to be the carrier rework, and then subs that also came a little while after that. Massive, massive change to how things worked from before. And a lot of these questions were about how would I implement them? And this is where I just have to throw my hands up and say, I don't know. How do you implement a class that in history, again, I don't know the most about history, but kind of just made battleships and surface ships all obsolete, right? Naval historians, you can let me know if I'm wrong there, but pretty sure we all just have carrier fleets now and not battleship brawls, anything like that happening these days. How do you implement that in an arcade game that's interesting for both sides? I think it makes a lot of sense why the surface ships don't have a lot of fun fighting against carriers. And the only way I can see it fundamentally being added in such a way that it's interesting for both sides is if both sides have the opportunity to win the engagement. It doesn't have to be that each side is equally able to win the engagement. It just has to be there's a possibility. It can't feel like the damage is just going to happen to your surface ship. It can't feel like the carrier is just always going to get that damage through no matter what. That's a big problem right now. It just feels like a tax on you as a surface ship playing the game. So how would I implement it? I would have to figure out some way to get that sentiment built into the gameplay, whether that means you're physically in control of your AA guns, preventing you from being in control of your main guns, trade-off there. And there's a mini game. I know how much we dislike mini games like submarines, right? It's not fun, but at least it's something that allows you to feel like you're engaging with that player and that class. With carriers, maybe if there was a manually controlled shooting AA mechanic that allowed you, if you played really well and the carrier missed a few beats or something like that to dodge, you would shoot down his entire squad and you'd take 0 damage. I don't know, but something needs to be changed to allow for interaction in a PvP game, not just to feel like it's one side wins, one side loses. And a few questions about the balancing of super ships. Well, which super ships are we talking about? There's a pretty big difference between the super carriers, Annapolis, Condi, and maybe something like a Piemonte or a Clausewitz. Satsuma versus something like a Maine even though I love the Maine, it's really good. That Satsuma F key is kind of bonkers. I think a big portion of this is that certain super ships are just so much more powerful than any tier 10. It feels like a 2-tier jump rather than just a 1-tier jump, or even a 3-tier jump in some cases. The changes I would make is to pull it back in line with a 1-tier jump above tier 10. I think that's a big problem with them. The gimmicks are very extreme, but also they got a full tier or maybe tier and a half's worth of extra HP, armor, gun caliber, gun layout, that kind of thing. So pulling them back in line with a natural step up in tier would do a lot, I think. I don't mind the concept of super ships, to be honest with you. The way they're implemented is not amazing. It does feel pretty bad to be on the receiving end of that tier 9 matchmaker. But I don't hate the idea of super ships in the game. It's just unfortunate how powerful they are. And a few general questions about overall balancing department. There's not a lot I would change, to be honest with you. Given that we're getting these semi-regular old ship balance waves coming through every once in a while these days, like every 3 to 4 months, we're just getting a new set of changes to a bunch of old ships. I love that. I really do. That's one of my favorite dev blogs that they put out. Shows they really care about the overall health of the game. Even if it leads to some power creep, okay? At least some of these older ships are getting some love and attention. One thing I would maybe change is to not just strictly listen to the almighty spreadsheet that says GK is fine, that also somehow says Columbo Legendary mod is also fine. How has that... Okay, I need to not get so animated here, but how is Columbo Legendary mod still not nerfed, bro? How long has it been in the game? I can't believe it. So little things like that, all right? There's some things we could improve with the balancing department. But overall, we've been getting a lot of these regular balance waves going through and looking at older ships, which I absolutely think is amazing. And I've definitely been pretty hard on Wargaming this year on the monetization. So do I think World of Warships will grow in the next 2 to 3 years? Do I think the player base will dwindle if Wargaming continues with the gambling and the insane additional costs in the armory? I don't know, man. Given the direction that the dev blogs between 14.7 and especially 14.8 goes, gives me some hope. But if they continued with the first half of 2025 as far as monetization goes, where almost everything that is new and interesting is put into either Admiral bundles that are $150 plus, or just in gambling only events for upwards of $1,000 sometimes to guarantee you get that content, I would have said that the direction is very, very bad. And if Wargaming doesn't course correct, yeah, it's just going to continue to bleed players. Now, if they continue in this direction we're starting to see with this 14.8 update, I could see them stabilizing and, in fact, bringing a lot of older players back. I don't think there's going to be a lot of new people, like a huge wave of new people that gets to the game. I think it would just have to be to bring older players back. And it seems like this 14.8 is interesting enough that we might see some of that in the later half of this year. And now, a lot of questions. Do appreciate you guys sending in all these questions. I think I've managed to cover most of these, except for number 4. This one's very interesting. How's my experience been interacting with Wargaming ever since becoming a CC? Do they look to be improving? It's hard to know. It's really hard to know. The community managers try their best. I gotta say this, okay? The community managers do an excellent job, an amazing job with like the situations that they're given. They go out in front of the entire community on the live streams. There's been some brutal dev blogs put out, and then these poor community managers are the front facing that have to take the brunt of that. It's tough, man. They do their absolute best. The problem as a CC is that I don't know what happens after I give feedback to the community managers, and that can feel a little bit frustrating. I don't know what the timelines look like on Wargaming's end. I am sure they have plans for a lot of updates to the future, like 2 years, 3, I don't know, right? So how easy is it for them to take on feedback from the community and change an update that's coming 2 months from now? So maybe it feels like our feedback isn't having a lot of impact. I've certainly felt that way through the first bit of 2025 here, man. I gotta say, if this 14.8, 14.7 dev blogs didn't come out here recently, this would have been a very different answer. But maybe they are listening, okay? Maybe they actually are listening. Maybe this is pure copium, but I gotta say, it might be that it just takes so long for them to move the ship. Maybe it's just a gigantic ship that takes forever to shift its rudder, you know what I'm saying? I have some hope with this 14.8 thing if they can continue on this trajectory. It doesn't have to be every update, but at least get some content, some of the time, available for free-to-play, $20 to $30 a month players to get excited about. Otherwise, it's just people who spend over $150 a month on the game that get excited about the game. That's not a great strategy in my opinion. So hopefully that's what we're seeing. And as a CC and my interactions with Wargaming, maybe this means all this criticism has been getting through and actually has had an impact here. But it's still just definitely hard for me to tell. The one thing I do know is that the community managers do an excellent job, and we should not be as hard on them. They don't make the decisions. They're doing their best. They're doing their absolute best, and there's a bunch of wonderful people there that work for Wargaming. Now, massively switching gears here, let's talk about getting frustrated while playing World of Warships, okay? Some of you who maybe only watch the YouTube videos and maybe manage to skip the ones where I do get frustrated in the YouTube videos may not know. I get very frustrated while playing this game, okay? I find this game incredibly frustrating to play a lot of the time. The whole idea that I'm just always having a good time is certainly not true. This game, I think, is just the nature of PvP games, to be honest with you. They're not gonna be just a good time all the time. That's just how PvP has to be. It can't just be like a single player experience where it's a power fantasy. You're meant to be in control of everything and always having a great time. But at the same time, this game is uniquely frustrating, and I do find that I can only play for an hour, hour and a half each recording session. Otherwise, I just get too invested, and I'll admit it, man. I have a really tough time dealing with frustration and emotions like that while playing this game. I get too invested with them, and I guess one of the things I've been trying to do is not let that impact my videos and not let that impact my feedback. I think it certainly has over the past 5 years. That would be, looking back, one of my major regrets, if any, over the last 5 years is... It's been an amazing 5 years, but I've certainly made a lot of mistakes in letting my frustration in a specific moment impact my video, my opinion on a ship, or the feedback that I give. And any of those videos that have been like that, I always look back on and I'm disappointed in myself, and I want to do better on that kind of thing. So no, I definitely don't just always have a good time while playing Warships. I think it's normal to get frustrated at PvP games sometimes, and with that, you just got to take a break. It is just a game after all. It really isn't that serious. I get too invested in it, too wrapped up in it from time to time, but when that happens, I just know I got to take a break and go outside, go for a walk or a run, hit the gym, anything like that, and that can help put things into perspective. It's still tricky though. It's still very hard. And speaking of content creation related stuff, let's talk about doing YouTube videos, that kind of thing. Questions you had for me there. What are the highlights? What is my favorite YouTube video? It's hard for me to really pick one. I don't feel like I'm a content creator that makes one huge banger video that I'm super happy with and proud of. I'm certainly proud of the videos I make. You know, I put a little more effort into, you know, that gearing tech tree showcase one where I get an E in each one. That took a long time and put more effort into it. I was pretty happy with that one, even if it didn't quite perform how I hoped. Still very happy with how it turned out. No, the thing I'm most proud of, I think, is consistency in uploading almost every week for 5 years, 5 videos a week. That would have been unheard of for me before starting this. Seriously, I've always struggled with sticking to things, always struggled with routines, just get into a habit. And I've just never, ever been able to do that. Just get a planner, it'll work, and then I just never write it down. For me, that is like the opposite of my entire childhood growing up, even through trying to get through college type stuff. And yet, somehow, with this YouTube stuff, I've managed to be incredibly consistent with it. And I'm very, very proud of that, and the ability to do that. It helps that it is an incredible dream job, but even with jobs like that, not every day is going to be a positive, perfect day, right? There's going to be hard days. There's going to be easier days. With this job, there's certainly a lot of good days. Don't get me wrong. But still being able to push through some of the hardships and get these videos out and be entertaining, be interesting, that's, I think, what I'm most proud of. The consistency of it. How much time do you spend daily creating content for World of Warships? Playing, editing, writing scripts? I got a secret here. I actually don't write scripts, guys. I just click record, and if I say something wrong or dumb or lose my train of thought, I just stop and go back to where I was still having a good train of thought. I've never been one to write scripts. This is just all off the top of the head. I will write out bullet points of things sometimes when I know I need to say certain things, but for the most part, I'm just talking to you guys, and I think that's more authentic, I guess, rather than just reading off of a script. I've always not been great at writing out scripts or essays, things like that for school, so it'd feel very robotic more than likely. So I think this is better. At least for me, this works out a lot better. But as for the time, it really depends on the type of video, man. The one takes, the ship requests are probably the easiest ones to get done. They're challenging in other ways, like trying to play well while also being entertaining at the same time while recording a video is hard, but it's rather efficient. So that one probably takes around 3 hours, I would say, to record, edit, fully upload, thumbnail, everything, and I get it out the door. But a more typical video where I do my recording separately from the commentary and then editing and all that stuff probably takes in the neighborhood of 6 hours, 7 hours. And then there would be time spent streaming, perhaps, even though I'm doing a little bit less of that these days. Videos like that gearing tech tree showcase one, that took an incredibly long period of time because getting an E in every ship is a ridiculous goal. And probably not required to make that video, to be honest with you, but I wanted to do it that way, and so took a long time to get some of those efficiency badges in those ships. But I would say generally my average day, I'm likely working on a video for 5 to 7 hours, something like that. And that would be dedicated work time, like full focused on it. Although even that, it's hard for me to say, man, because the hours just go by so quick. I legitimately do enjoy this job. Enjoy playing the game, enjoy the editing process. I enjoy the recording process I'm doing right now. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What? Okay, I've been here longer than I thought. See, the hours just go by. The hours just go by. And I'm incredibly fortunate to have a job like this one. So it's probably more time than it would have an impact on me, I guess would be the right way of putting it, because generally I do enjoy things so much. And that actually leads really well into, if I had to give someone who's starting out content creation advice, I think that's the biggest thing, is do something you're interested in, you're passionate about, you enjoy. Not every day is going to be a perfect, enjoyable day doing your favorite thing. Some of those days aren't going to be. But what's important is your passion comes across in your videos. I think that's the biggest one. The audience is smart. You guys know if I'm being sincere or not. You may not tell right away in every single video, but if I wasn't being sincere, over time, you'd just get this general vibe that something's off and you'd go somewhere else. There's essentially an infinite amount of content to watch on YouTube. You want to watch someone who is passionate about what they're talking about. I think that's a big thing. Get into something that you really like, you're passionate about, you're knowledgeable about, you're interested in, and that'll carry you a long way. And you know, if you're starting out early on, you're probably not going to get many views. It's going to be hard to find that as motivation if your only reason for doing it is that you want to grow a channel and make money off of it. You got to do something you're passionate about. And speaking of that, what was it like early on for me? Well, I started making videos August 1st, 2020. Made videos a month straight and got like 100 views or so on each video, which is decent, you know, maybe a little bit less than that. Continued to do that for September, October, and it basically was plateaued at that stage. But then I put a lot of effort into that aiming video. Looking back, there's a lot of things that I could do better in explaining things, but it's still a very good video, I think, and let's be honest, it's very clickbaity to talk about how to aim. I am, I think, known for being pretty good at the game. I can use the Super Unicum tag as clickbait as well. You know, all those YouTube things. But I legitimately think I gave some good advice there, and I am legitimately at that level of skill in this game, which helped a lot, I think. But also, I guess I am entertaining enough. This is something I'm coming to terms with as I'm doing this. More people know me from doing YouTube and maybe even have no idea about my past in winning a bunch of Kings of the Sea, at being at that level in this game. And they just know me as the YouTube guy who's entertaining, informative. It's interesting to me. I would have thought that initially the reason I gained success, especially after that aiming guide video, which is where the channel blew up, by the way. If you look at some of the graphs and that, it is purely that video took off, and I think a big portion of the retainability, or why I retained an audience, is I had a back catalog of 3 months worth of videos that people could go look at after they had finished watching or watched some of that video, that aiming guide video, and they know what I would be about, and they'd get an idea of what I would do in the future. Maybe that's part of it. It's hard for me to know these kinds of things. I think I got pretty lucky too. I think there's an element of that with the whole YouTube algorithm idea. Really grew based off of that. Twitch stream is not really that popular in comparison, which is totally fine. I'm not a very good streamer, I don't think. I'm much better at doing this whole YouTube thing. But there's, I think, a big element of doing good videos that you're passionate about on a topic you're passionate about for a while, and then trying to make a bigger effort in a video that you know people will be interested in your field as sort of evergreen content, something that a lot of people will just always be interested in your field, and that can maybe be the catalyst for building and growing your channel. But that worked for me. That doesn't mean it's going to work for anybody else. It's so hard to know. I don't know a lot about being a YouTuber, to be honest with you. I just kind of talk in my room about a video game I like, and somehow YouTube distributes that to a bunch of people that are interested in it. I don't know how this all works, man. I'm just lucky enough to have ridden this wave up. And again, I gotta thank you guys for making that possible, but to give advice, it's really hard. But that was my journey at the start of things, where consistently getting very few relative views on videos, and then putting more effort into a bigger evergreen style video, and that happening to take off. What are my recording settings? Well, I use OBS to record, and then I edit in DaVinci Resolve. Here is my OBS settings panel for recording. Basically, I just go overkill on bitrate and just hope that that's enough to deal with YouTube's compression on the back end. So far, that's been working. I know with AV1, 7500 megabit per second is probably overkill, way overkill. In fact, it's kind of ridiculous to hang on to footage. That's why I often am deleting my footage after I'm done with a video. I don't actually hang on to any footage like that. It's enough to make good quality on YouTube. I'm sure I could go lower, but that's what I do. And then the DaVinci Resolve export is using similar settings on bitrate and quality, that kind of thing. There's plenty of great guides on YouTube on how to get started with Resolve editing, that kind of thing. I used to use Premiere, And that's a very expensive subscription, where Resolve is free, and then if you want the extra features like hardware encoding, which I do enjoy having, then I paid the one-time fee, and then you just get that program and all its updates. You don't have to continue with the Adobe subscription. Resolve is awesome. Oh, and actually one thing I'd highly, highly recommend, if you're playing and recording, streaming and recording at the same time, make sure you split your audio out, okay? I use Wavelink, which is Elgato's thing, because I have a Wave XLR, that kind of thing. But you can use free programs to do that as well. But get multiple audio channels, and that way you can run your game audio on one, your mic audio on another, maybe your stream audio on a third. And that way, when you pull your video file into Resolve or whatever editor, you have 3 audio tracks. And that way you can remove your mic, or you can remove your stream audio, or you can remove the game audio, and have all of that separate and clean. That's really, really important. Moving on to some more personal questions you guys had for me. And before we do, I'll be right back. I gotta go get a drink of water. All right, I'm ready to go again. Let's get some easy ones out of here. What's my favorite color? It's blue. Briefs for sure. I've grown to appreciate all the seasons, but I'm a little partial to fall, as the temperature is nowhere near as hot as summer, but it's not wet like it is in spring, and not super cold like you can't go outside at all in wintertime. And I'm much more interested in regular potatoes. Oh, this is hard though. Pancakes or waffles? Both, please? Ooh, if I have to choose though, probably pancakes. I am 5'10", and yes, I know Canadian using feet and inches, we're completely messed up when it comes to metric versus imperial. We use some of each. It's so confusing. As for music, I like a lot of different genres. I've mostly listened to rock and classic rock throughout my life, but I enjoy metal as well, as long as I can hear the lyrics. Not as huge a fan of the screaming ones. I also like alternative music. I like some pop music some of the time. Not liking country, don't like rap either. One of the funniest songs that I've been loving recently, especially when going to the gym, look up Diggy Diggy Hole, okay? It's so good, man. It's by a band, Windrose, I believe. I'm not sure what the genre exactly is. I saw somewhere it's like melodic metal, something like that. That's what I've been into recently, but synthwave stuff too. And I always just find myself getting back to rock and like classic rock stuff too. And I've already brought it up a couple times, but yeah, I've actually been going to the gym for the last couple of months. Been great so far, but no, definitely not gym content. I would be mortified if I ever tried to pull out a camera and record myself at the gym. I couldn't do that, man. One of the best parts about this job for me is I just get to sit alone in front of my computer with a microphone and just talk about things I like. And to do that in front of people, no. I could never do that. In fact, to think about the amount of you that watch my videos and think about doing that in, say, like a stadium or like a lecture hall, I couldn't even do that, man. It's crazy. No, we're not going to see any gym content, not from me. But speaking of, that might be the other thing I'm rather proud of recently. The consistency, the long-term consistency of making YouTube videos 5 a week for 5 years. Trying to translate that into other areas of my life. A big one was health recently. And in the last year and a little bit, lost over 60 pounds. And last couple months or so, putting on some good muscle. And I feel so much better too, way healthier. I'm very, very almost addicted to the feeling of working out now and going for walks and runs, that kind of thing. I got to get my bike out of storage too. That would be a good thing to go do too. I'm really enjoying it, which is surprising because in the past I always dreaded working out or going to a gym, anything like that, just for the sake of going and doing it. But for whatever reason, doing it now, I'm so into it. And I hope that continues. We'll see. That may fall off. Might just be because I'm new to it. But changing my diet over the last year especially helped me to lose a ton of weight. Learning how to cook better for myself. I guess that's a new passion of mine. Learning to cook better and getting more exercise too. So important. Definitely a dog person though. I always had a few dogs around growing up and that. Love to have dogs around. The meaning of life. Ooh, I think it's gotta just be spending time with friends and family. You only got one life, and the people around you are the most important thing. And no, aliens don't exist. Nope, not married, and definitely don't have kids. I am not responsible enough to do that. But my education, I actually only got through 2 years of computer science, and then all the COVID pandemic stuff hit. I was going to school in Vancouver, and then came home to Saskatchewan. With all that, thought it was a good idea to maybe spend the summer there and not be in a very dense city. Let's go live in rural Saskatchewan while that hopefully blows over soon, right? Surely. Won't be multiple years. And then I just had nothing to do, really, and in August, I decided to start making videos. And then, well, you know the rest. But let's say YouTube didn't take off, and I didn't get that whole experience. I would have continued with computer science, more than likely, and then gotten out of school right about the time that the entire computer science job market crashed, and then I have no idea what I'd be doing. I would have a degree and be working a summer job style thing, right? Like I'd be in the service industry or something, wondering what I'm doing. I don't know how I would deal with that, to be honest with you. That would be very, very difficult. Maybe I'd try to go back to school for some trades, that kind of thing. Doing project work is something that I've realized now that I'm doing YouTube is something I really, really like. Doing something different each day, slightly different with the same tools would be really cool. That kind of thing. Maybe learning to be an electrician. I don't really know. It's hard to know, but I definitely lucked out in not having to deal with that whole job market collapse in IT and computer science world. It's funny, in going with YouTube, especially over the first few years, even now, it feels like I'm just talking in my room and then sending my video out to the internet, and then I get a paycheck that pays my bills. How is that stable? How can I rely on that? A normal job, quote unquote, should be more reliable, right? And yet, given how things have gone recently, I mean, have you seen the amount of layoffs Microsoft is doing recently? It's ridiculous, the job market right now in tech. Maybe this is more reliable for me? That's a crazy thought, okay? That's an insane thought, but yeah, it would have been very, very hard. I would have been having a very different, very difficult past 5 years. But what do I do for fun outside of video games? Well, I've already mentioned a little bit. I've been learning how to cook better, definitely been getting into being more active, but those are the main things. I still like to play video games outside of playing, recording, making YouTube videos on World of Warships. It's weird though. I don't have the drive to play video games after a normal work day. It's strange because that's most people's leisure time is, oh, I get to play video games now. But I've kind of been thinking about or playing or analyzing a video game for my work day, and then I don't really want to think about video games afterwards. It's strange. Although I do still play games from time to time, which we have to talk about. Because that's another question a lot of you had. Do I play other games? Am I planning on playing other games on this YouTube channel? And the answer is yes, I really would like to. Yesterday you got another World of Warships Legends video. Hadn't played that in a very, very long time. Given how it's doing so far, it's not gonna become a mainstay. Not that it's all about money, but we definitely need to pay the bills to live around here. But I do plan on playing some more World of Warships Legends. But there's other games that I would like to play. I've played a ton of Satisfactory over the last few years, so might want to start a playthrough of that to play through on the channel. Love that game. It'd be really, really fun to make a video series on that one. But not to take over the main video upload schedule, partially because I do still need to pay bills, but also I still like World of Warships a lot, guys. It's been tough this early 2025, but maybe because it's fresh, this 14.8 devlog in particular, it's got me hyped up again, man. I am so excited for the back half of this year with World of Warships. So I still will be playing World of Warships, even if you gave me a ton of money. Let's say you gave me a couple $1 million and I had enough to retire or whatever. Right now, retire from playing video games on the internet. Seems insane to say that, but hypothetically, I didn't have to make videos and pay bills like that, right? I'd still play World of Warships, guys. Maybe not every day like I do now, but this game is awesome, man. This game is really, really good, and I'm very excited to continue playing it, especially with this new update. But Satisfactory is one. A game I played through recently is actually the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy game. It was on Steam for like $7 on the summer sale or something like that. I find myself often playing single-player story linear games offline, like when I'm not recording for YouTube or anything like that, because it's such a massive departure from the PvP live service game that I do my videos on every day. So it's far enough apart that it feels like it's relaxing, I guess, to go back to the idea of I don't feel like playing a video game after working on a video game videos for it for a while. So that's a big one. I really, really enjoyed playing through Elden Ring and then its DLC when that one came out. That was super fun. So very excited to see whatever FromSoft comes up with next. I've enjoyed the God of War games, partial to Ratchet and Clank from like the PS2 days, so really enjoyed playing the new one through on PS5. Spider-Man 2 as well, Miles Morales, as those three that have come out in the last while. I mean, the first one came out 2019, 2018, something like that. It was a while ago, but those are really fun games too. That's the kind of thing I'm playing. I'm also, you know, not much of a mobile gamer, but if I am on the go and I don't have my Steam Deck or something with me, I'll play like Bloons Tower Defense 6 on my phone. I loved playing Bloons on the school computers when we were supposed to be doing schoolwork, and then we'd find a way around the firewalls or whatever, and then we'd play Bloons on the school computers when I was growing up. And I still love Bloons, man. Bloons Tower Defense 6 is awesome. Now, whether or not I make content on those games, I'm not sure. Definitely would like to on Satisfactory. I've had so much fun with that one. I think there's a lot of fun content and interesting content I can make with that one if I play through that one again. Slay the Spire is another one that I just off and on play. That one's so replayable. It's just such a great game. As for a game like War Thunder, well, I played that one a lot before playing World of Warships, as I mentioned. Really enjoyed the higher tier jet dogfighting, at least before they added air-to-air missiles. My jam was kind of playing in the 7.3 bracket line, like the Hokkaido, oh, what was this? Sea Meteor versus F2H battles. Those were really fun. Obviously, MiG-15 BIS versus F2 Sabres, that kind of thing. I forget what was the map called? It's like a bunch of, you both spawned on like airfields in mountain ranges, and then there was this big valley in the middle. I forget what it's called, but played a bunch of that. That was super fun. Maybe we could go back to that. I was never really good at the tanks thing. I enjoy running around with the tanks, but I'm terrible at the tanks game mode. And ships in that game, I have actually tried legitimately. I even spent some money on some premiums to give it a go. I'm not going to give it like the new Gneisenau now. I saw they added a bunch of high tier battleships there. I don't think I'm going to buy those yet. We'll wait and see. It doesn't look like they've changed a whole lot of the gameplay loop from the, I think I have a Prince Eugen, so like a heavy cruiser over there. Doesn't look like the gameplay loop has changed much. Their map design, their game modes just are sit in front of each other and like shoot one another. There's no flanking, there's no depth to it really. And then their enduring confrontation is just, okay, use your small ships to sprint enough spawn points to get the large ones. And then the large ships always win against the small ships. And it's not like World of Warships where there's ways for destroyers to be at a tier 10 power level against battleships. It doesn't seem like that's the case. So maybe I'm missing something. I very well could be, but I've watched some videos. I've watched different War Thunder content creators, and it doesn't seem like it's something I would be interested in making content on, at least right now. That may change. And I think that's about it. I apologize if I didn't get through exactly your question. I tried to group them with similar questions and then kind of cover those topics all at once. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I've definitely had a wonderful 5 years, so thank you again so much for making this YouTube content dream of mine a possibility. It's been an amazing 5 years. Like I said, there's really not a lot I would change. It has been the best 5 years of my life. I'm about to turn 30 in a couple months, so thinking back on things like this, it's really cool that I can even say that things have been going that well for me. I'm very, very lucky, very fortunate, and I don't want to lose sight of that either. So glad to make a video like this one too. I hope you guys enjoyed getting some of those answers for the questions you had. Remember, you can comment down below more questions if there's things that I didn't cover that you're interested in. May or may not answer them, we'll see, but I may comment some answers down there as well. But looking forward, I think there's reason to be hopeful for the future of World of Warships. I don't think I could have said that a couple of days ago. Again, this recent devlogs are doing some heavy lifting, but they are incredible devlogs. Definitely give especially the 14.81 a look, the 10-year anniversary update. Looking to be one of the best, if not the best update Wargaming has ever released for player friendliness. It is absolutely amazing. So can't wait for that update. And honestly, 14.7 is looking good too. We got a dockyard coming up, as well as I believe San Diego is earnable in collections or something. I haven't looked too closely yet. We will have to do that when I do the videos on those ships inevitably. And of course, experimental ships are gone with this new update. So only a couple more days and you don't have to deal with them again. Hopefully the feedback is getting through. Already talked about that a little bit with how is it like being a CC dealing with wargaming. Maybe this feedback has actually gotten through. Maybe we have been loud enough, clear enough that wargaming's got the message now. That could just be cope, but I think it's important to give reasonable criticism. Again, that would be the one thing I would like to change, is not getting so frustrated, so tilted at the game, and then letting that impact my feedback, my commentary, my videos, and even just my general mood throughout the day. I don't want that, and yet the game is still frustrating at times, and I want to be honest about that too, because I think some of you have that impression that I never get frustrated, and somehow. And that's just not the case. I get very frustrated at this game from time to time too. And I wish I didn't. But at this point, I'm rambling. Look out in the future for maybe some different content on different games. Can't promise that. Can promise that WoW's videos will continue, and I definitely do enjoy making those still, don't you worry. But thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.